Hi, Mom.
Yeah, you're going.
Can I start?
You can start.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Gabriel. I've been a tour director for over 25 years, and I have escorted the travel department Canadian itineraries. And today, it's my pleasure to personally introduce Canada to you. I'm going to take you on a journey through the east and west of our country with emphasis on the special itineraries the travel department has operated for many years. First, a quick geographical sketch. You know, we're a big country. By the way, all our itineraries include breakfast and first-class hotels, just about everywhere. So, where's my map?
Just a minute.
Okay, here we are. You can glean from the map the relative size of Canada compared to Ireland. It's 140 times larger. In terms of population density, however, we are 38 million with only 4 persons per square kilometer, to Ireland's 70 persons per square kilometer. Now, size-wise, we're almost 10 million square kilometers, which makes us the second largest country in the world. Approximately 26 of this area is located north of the tree line. We share a land border with the United States of 8,900 kilometers, the longest international border in the world. Now, let's give you a quick region of Canada information. So the main regions are the eastern regions, Great Lakes, St. Lawrence, the Canadian Shield, Interior Plains, West and the Cordillera, and the Arctic region. In Canada, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories, each with its local government. According to the British North America Act of 1867, it established Canada as an independent nation. Ottawa was declared the capital, and our official languages are French and English, with some native languages in the far north. So here you see a very good map of the Great Lakes. In fact, Toronto is located on Lake Ontario, and the Great Lakes comprise about 24% of the fresh water in the world. Incredible, but it's right here on our doorstep. So yeah, the lakes are, the lakes are about half in Canada and half in the United States. Even our own lake, Lake Ontario, is half in the States, half in Canada. So now we go to the itinerary. So we start in Toronto, and then we go south to Niagara Falls. It's a must visit, of course. And then when we leave Toronto, we follow the shores of Lake Ontario to Kingston. Kingston is right at the end of the lake, and Hamilton at the other end. Then from Kingston, we move on to Montreal. We cross the border between Ontario and Quebec. It's not a real border, but, you know, in figuratively speaking. And we go to Montreal, and then we keep following the shores of the St. Lawrence River all the way to Quebec City. Quebec City is where the river narrows. In fact, Quebec is a native name. It means where the river narrows. We start in Toronto. In Toronto, it's in my hometown while I'm in Canada. Toronto is the largest city in Canada and the 4th largest in North America. So big metropolis, 140 languages are spoken here. They say it's one of perhaps the most cosmopolitan city, one of the most anyway, in the world. And we have a very, very good tour that we do of the city of Toronto. And here you see an overview of Toronto. You can see a tall tower at the end. That's the CN Tower, Canadian National Tower. And for more than 30 years, it was the tallest structure in the world. It's about 580 meters. A few structures have been built since then, but we held that record here. You can see some trees at the bottom, and those kind of medieval-looking buildings. That's our Parliament building, because each province has its own parliament, provincial parliament, and the headquarters are in Ottawa, and that is the national federal government is in the city of Ottawa. So here's a wonderful view. You can see on the left, there's a small airport. That's our Toronto Island Airport. And if we follow the shoreline, keep on following, and then go to the, and you come to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is about 75 kilometers, approximately, from Toronto. We do and see lots of nice things in our town. You know, you can see the distillery district here, distillery district, and they wanted to knock the whole place down. But fortunately, have conserved it for us. And that was where at one time they used to make all the liquor that we exported during Prohibition times. We exported that to the United States. So many Canadian families became multi-millionaires by this activity, this important activity. You can see the building in the center. It's called the Gooderham Building. And that was the whiskey headquarters, booze headquarters of Toronto. Toronto, unfortunately, they demolished many buildings, but the little small areas you can still see in Toronto as it was. Here's an interesting area that we always go to. It's called the Island Park. And this is a special park with statues by a famous Irish sculptor. And these statues represent the suffering and the hardship that Irish people underwent when coming to Canada, when leaving their homeland. But once they got to Canada, they were welcomed with open arms. Toronto has a very proud record of this. And so we stop there. And here you see the commemorative plaque, Island Park, Toronto. Your Prime Minister was here, President of Ireland, rather. HG, I guess that's Her Excellency, isn't it? Yeah, Her Excellency Mary McAsheek was here, and she opened the park, as you can see, back in 2007. Excellent hotels we use, the travel department has. Courtyard Marriott, centrally located, but all throughout the tours, throughout Canada, travel department has excellent hotels, all centrally located. Now we come to the wonderful place, world famous, Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls in 1 hour and a bit already, and we are there. We do a special excursion. I say special excursion because we include a boat trip, which you'll see in a minute, a boat trip which takes you right under the falls. And there are 3 falls, the Canadian Falls, which you see now. Then the next slide, here we are. The next slide, you can see on the left, you can see the American Falls, and another small fall beside it, which are called the Bridal Falls. Now note how big the Canadian falls are, because 85% of the flow of the water comes to Canada. Why? Because that fall is 1 meter lower. They're about 55 meters. That fall is 1 meter lower, and it's a difference in level. Then that's what makes this huge, tons of water flowing through, cascading down per second. Look on the buildings. Interesting to see this, because the modern buildings, and these are all hotels, every one, because who really wants to see Niagara Falls in the best way? They more or less have to come to Canada. On the other side, the US side, you can't see anything, just the back. So there you can see the Canadian Falls. You can see, yes, you can see a boat there. And we take you, as I said before, we take you right under the falls. Don't worry, you won't get wet. Well, maybe a little bit. They give you a special raincoat that you can put on, and just on a one-time only basis. Okay.
I can play the video now.
So now we go to, you can see a building on the right side. And that building is the first hydroelectric power, first in the world. At the time of Edison already, they were exploiting the waters of the Niagara River. for power purposes, and still today. We stay at the Hilton usually in Niagara Falls. That's a terrific hotel right in the center. And from there you can walk around, you can go back to the falls, after, we do after we finish our tours. You can go back to the falls. There are lots and lots of places of entertainment in Niagara Falls. It's actually known as the capital of North America, believe it or not, for honeymoons. I don't know about going there on a honeymoon. It's such a busy place. Now, when we leave Toronto, we finish with Toronto? Yes. Okay, when we leave Toronto, we move on, again, following the shores of Lake Ontario, we move on to the city of Kingston. Kingston is known as the Limestone City. Why? Because there are lots of public buildings, churches, city hall, and so on, which are built of this special limestone that you can only find there. Actually, they've run out now, so you can enjoy what you see.
Sure. We'll make a quick stop in here just to try and reshare our screen because
I think we're in Kingston now. Kingston at one time, they wanted Kingston to be capital of Canada because Canada's first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, was the first Prime Minister of our country. He is from Kingston, and he was considered himself a native of Kingston, although he came from Scotland when he was only 2 years old. But anyway, he did his best, to try to get his town to become the capital of Canada. He did not succeed because Queen Victoria had other ideas, and she chose Ottawa as the seat of Parliament. The reason being that Ottawa was straddling between French culture and English culture. But there's a beautiful area near Kingston, which we visit, and it's called the Thousand Islands. Here's a good view of the City Hall of Kingston, quite a grandiose building. Kingston isn't that big of a place, but it has a very big city hall. And Kingston, by the way, lies on the confluence of the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario. Famous historical landmark there is Fort Henry. Kingston is a military town, and the equivalent of Sandhurst, in England, and West Point in the States, we have in Kingston our military academy. So I was mentioning that there's a wonderful area very near Kingston, and here it is. It's called the Thousand Islands. Thousand Islands was a great retreat, for the literati and glitterati of North America. Now, not so much, but still, we do a really nice boat trip included in the tour, in the itinerary, in the travel department itinerary. And this boat tours visits all the salient points of the Thousand Islands. And by the way, there really are 1,000 islands, actually more than 1,000, but the Thousand Islands which are inhabited, when we say 1 or 2 houses on and a few trees, they call it an island. One of the main things to see in the Thousand Islands is this place here. It's called Bolt Castle. Bolt Castle was built by a hotelier from the States, Andrew Bolt, and he wanted to do something for his wife who loved the area, and he thought he would build her a splendid modern mansion, a castle. And he built it on an island called Heart Island, shape of a heart, dedicated to her. Unfortunately, she died before this was finished, and he never returned to the Thousand Islands again. He never did come back on holiday. So holiday in Kingston, here's the hotel right by the water. We've really enjoyed this hotel because again, you can walk anywhere, and Kingston is a historical place. Universities are located there, many other buildings of historical interest. When we leave Kingston, we carry on, again following the St. Lawrence, and we reach Montreal. We cross the border from Ontario to Quebec. Ontario is the most populous province in Canada, but Quebec is the largest in area. When you look at this, it's quite interesting. When you look at Montreal, which is the second largest French-speaking city in the world, you look at it and you think, oh, it's very American. When you look, yes, very Canadian, very American. Not when you visit. When you visit, it's really French, very French, joie de vivre, restaurants, places of entertainment. Here's an iconic building, which is the Olympic Stadium. The Olympics in Montreal were located in Montreal, Summer Olympics. And this has the tallest reclining tower in the world. And it's holding up the roof. There are cables, you can see, holding up the roof. It didn't work very well, so now they just keep it fixed. But we go there, and you have a chance to see all these places during our tour, during our tour of the city. You can see the Formula One area, Formula One circuit, and the sphere that you can see is the American Pavilion, which was built for the Montreal Expo in 1967. There is the Formula One, very popular, enthusiastic. And you can see some water you saw before, because Montreal is surrounded, completely surrounded by the waters of the St. Lawrence River. Montreal lies on an island, about 50 kilometers by 30. What a lovely place this is. This is the cathedral, the basilica rather, the Basilica of Notre Dame. When you look at this basilica, you think, oh, there's a lot of statues there, a lot of marble. There's not any marble whatsoever. It is all wood. It's a fantastic what they've done. And this is a very important. We have concerts there. Luciano Pavarotti was there. Celine Dion, I'm sure everyone has heard of Celine Dion. She has given performances. She was even married there in the Notre Dame Basilica. Now you can visit this basilica, and you will have time. It's an optional. Whoever wants, has time to go. Here's a little bit of old Montreal, which has been conserved. Most of it is gone now, no more. But this one has been conserved, and it's very near the Notre Dame Basilica. So you can make one visit and go into the basilica. There's a small charge, to go in now. Used to be free. And this is old Montreal, just 2 minutes away from the basilica. Méridien Hotel, very nice. Again, centrally located. I must say that the accommodation has been chosen very well by the travel department. Oh, now we have gone from Montreal, still in the province of Quebec, to the capital of the province of Quebec, Quebec City. One iconic building there, world famous. It's the Chateau Frontenac Hotel. Frontenac was the governor of New France at the time. The city was founded by an explorer called Samuel de Champlain in 1608, as you can see. And it's the only walled city north of Mexico. Wonderful place to visit. One of my favorite cities in the world, not just in Canada. And I know that travel department clients really appreciate, our going there for a couple of nights. This old Quebec is split in three. You have Quebec, Lower Quebec by the river, by the St. Lawrence River, Upper Quebec, where you can see the hotel, again, part of the Hotel Chateau Frontenac, and then Quebec outside the walls. We'll show you, I think there's a slide coming of one of the here we are. These are completely in circles, old Montreal. These are the fortifications. And on the left of the fortifications are the Plains of Abraham. There's a famous battle was fought there in 1759. And that's when Quebec fell to the English. So here is a very typical, outside restaurant. There are many, many in Quebec City, and I know that people very much enjoy dining out in the open, the French style, and French cuisine is very prominent, obviously, in Quebec City. Here's again a very good view of the Chateau Frontenac. It has about 700 rooms now. And on the back, you see the Laurentian Hills. The Laurentian Hills follow the northern shore of the St. Lawrence River. Quebec is where the river narrows. They're very narrow there. Quebec is an indigenous word. It means where the river narrows. We use lots of indigenous words in Canada. Toronto is an indigenous name. It means meeting place. And here is the wide expanse. You can see how the river widens out now, all the way to the estuary, to the Atlantic Ocean. But you have to travel another 600 kilometers before you see the Quebec estuary. The Concorde in Quebec is a lovely hotel. You can easily walk from there. In fact, from the window of the hotel is right on a street, which is it's called the Petite Champs-Élysées of the city of Quebec. I like to enter Quebec that way. Blinded by the sunshine, feeling all the sun. Blinded by the sunshine, feeling all the sunrise. On se croyait éteint, noyé dans l'ombrage, pendant les mains, les passes comme le feu sur la plage. Roule par le vent qui nous garde en otage, nous aide à traverser le creux. Le froid semble sans fin, les couleurs sur le monde nous regardent. Je sais pas par où commencer, alors allonge-toi. Ça va les longs, je te préviens. I'm blinded by the sunshine. Oh, whatever to my life. About time for the sunrise. I know it's good. Feel it. Oh, the sunrise. Blinded by the sunshine. Feel it. Oh, the sun. Okay, we're leaving Eastern Canada now. Yes. Now we're talking. Now we go west. Well, I would say this, that Canada, Eastern Canada is the historical part of Canada. And the west, well, there's only one way to describe it. Nature is really queen. in Western Canada. And we're going to see so many lovely things during this tour, during your trip, because we go from Vancouver. We go first to the city of Kamloops. Kamloops in the centrally located, in the center of British Columbia. Then we continue north. We go to Mount Robson. We go to Mount Robson Provincial Park, and we stay in Jasper. It's a long way, but so many fascinating things to see along the way. Then we stay in Jasper overnight. We then come south and we see probably the most famous road in all of Canada, and it's called the Icefields Parkway. The Icefields Parkway, they have about 22 mountains, which are over 3,000 meters high. So you will never see mountain scenery as good as this, because this road cuts right through, cuts right through all the way south to the town of Banff. Banff is a world famous, world known international resort town. And the headquarters, or the entrance to our national park, Banff National Park. There are two parks. One is the Jasper National Park, which we go right through it. That's over 11,000 square kilometers. Banff National Park is over 6,000 square kilometers. So we don't spare any room for national parks in Canada. There's one in Alberta called Wood Buffalo National Park. That's the size of Switzerland. I know, hard to believe, but it's true. It's a national park the size of Switzerland. So from Banff, we go on the Trans-Canada Highway #1. That goes all the way from Victoria all the way to Newfoundland, Highway #1. And we keep going west. And we stop in a lovely small town called Vernon, right in the center of a wine growing area. And then we cross, just cross Kamloops once again, because this itinerary has been very cleverly designed, if I say so myself, very cleverly designed, because you see so many things and we don't see anything twice. And you cover the very best of Western Canada, what Western Canada has to offer. So from Kamloops. Oh, here's we have to tell you this from Europe, from UK and Dublin. It's a long flight, 12 hours, as you can see. The reason it's so long is that you have the headwinds, against you all the time. But once you land in Vancouver, then, you're home free and you're in the best part of Western Canada. Here you can see by the map, Saskatchewan and Alberta and British Columbia. These are the three Western provinces, although they're central province, of Manitoba. They claim they're in the West, but this is the true West. Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. We're in Vancouver. What a wonderful place this is. I would say, without question, it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I don't like to use this terminology, best in the world, but I just say it's one of the most beautiful cities, and that's what people say when they've been around. You can see on the right some trees. That's Stanley Park, the most lovely park I've ever seen, really. And our tour takes you there, a tour of the city of Vancouver. Then you can, you can see some sails, right? They look like sails. This is a pier specially built for Expo in Vancouver. And it hosts lots of cruise ships. They come in. Vancouver is one of the main ports for cruises, cruise shipping. They mainly go up to Alaska and down to to Los Angeles from here. So overview of Vancouver, and the mountains that you can see at the back are the coast, called the Coast Mountains. So in Western Canada, of course, you're never in any flat area. You see mountains all the time from the moment you land, to the moment you leave. Here's another nice view of the west end of Vancouver, West End. And here's one of the places we take you to during our trip, during our city tour. It's called the Capilano Suspension Bridge, and you can get a fantastic view of the river and of the canyon. This is one of the most beautiful sights that we do during our city tour. This hotel is very good. It's right by the sea. Again, you're in the marvelous locations. Every place you go to, in on the travel department itineraries, they use centrally located hotels.
Somewhere between the sea and the sky, a wild playground awaits. Feel refreshed between mountain and ocean, where each sunrise brings the chance for a new adventure. Taste, learn, connect. Get inspired. Feel the rhythm of our cities beating in time with nature. Explore further than you ever have before. It's all here in BC's wild backyard. So where will you go? What will you see? When you explore from sea to sky. Plan now to explore BC this summer.
This is the center of British Columbia. So we will see many of the towns and villages and places that you see on the map right now. Valemount, Vernon, Kamloops. We visit all these places. Hope. This is the Okanagan Valley. Okanagan, very, very well known for wines, which are now exported all over the place, all over the world. Canadian, they don't equate usually Canada with wines, but we do have some, very, very, excellent, top quality, world-renowned wines. And this is the center of the wine growing area because it has a long summer, lots of sunshine, and perfect conditions for geological conditions for the growing of wine. Kamloops is also important because it lies on the confluence of two rivers. One is the North Thompson River and the Thompson River. Thompson was a famous explorer who came through the Rockies, and but he never knew that the river was going to be named after him. So that came afterwards. Okay, again, Kamloops, lots of things to see, particularly by the riverside. Terrific restaurants, easily, accessible within a few minutes from your hotel, in keeping with with a travel department philosophy. Ramada, excellent hotel. People really like this place. And this is part of the Wells Gray National Park, Provincial Park, sorry, which we visit. Here's another place, extremely beautiful. It's not a federal park, it's a provincial park, and it's called Mount Robson Provincial Park. There you can see the tallest mountain in the Canadian Rockies, Mount Robson, nearly 4,000 meters high. And if the weather is good, we see it. This is part of Wells Gray Park. This is Spahat Falls first. We do go into this park, and we spend as much time as we can there. But time is we're restricted because you can stay 2-3 weeks just in Wells Gray Park. So that's the problem with an itinerary like this. There's so many beautiful places. Think, oh, I want to stop here. Oh, why don't we stay here 3 days? But then, people that just don't have the time these days. Wildlife. This is a Wells Gray Park. I have seen bears there, and it's very rare that we do a tour of Western Canada where we don't see wildlife. You know, I think I've only ever done one tour that we didn't see anything. So you have to know how to look for them and watch for them. But you know, they are there because it's inhabited the park only 3%. All the rest is wild. All the rest is just there for nature is really queen. So here we have an air from the aerial view from the Whistler mountains, which has nothing to do with Whistler that you're going to see in a few moments. There you can see the Athabasca River, and there'll be another slide a little bit later on. Jasper town. Jasper is a small place, nothing like that. Jasper, small town, but if you're serious about doing mountain excursions or any excursions, you know, the real sportsmen, you know, they come to Jasper. It's not a lot of after ski life in Jasper. It's for serious people who really want to do serious mountain hiking. Here you can see the station of Jasper, operated by Via Rail. And the Rocky Mountaineer is a famous train, goes through that. That's it, there's the train. Here is my favorite river in Canada, the Athabasca River. Now, water from this river goes to the Mackenzie River and flows into the Arctic Circle. It's possible to do a float. It's not really a serious, very, very serious river excursion, but it's more of a float plane excursion. But just the pleasure of being on this river is amazing. It's an amazing experience. And you do have time, weather permitting and things like that. It is possible to do an excursion on this river. Marmot Lodge. Now, this is the only place which is no more than 10 minutes from the town center, because there are no nice hotels anywhere in the very center of Jasper, but they're all just 10 minutes from the center. So that's why, the travel department uses this particular hotel. So when we leave Jasper, we start on our trip. The best and most lovely mountain scenery you can possibly see and visit is on the Icefields Parkway. Why? Because all these places are accessible. For example, this glacier here is called the Athabasca Glacier, and it forms part of the Columbia Icefields. Columbia Icefields, they have 5 different, tongues poking out from the ice field itself, and there are 5 different glaciers. So we go on this one, and the marvelous thing about this is that it's so accessible. We have an excursion included in your trip, which goes right on that glacier, right on. You tread in the snow, you tread on the ice. Ice is 350 meters thick, so you won't go through it. Moving south from Jasper, there are many, many places to stop along this parkway. Again, the Icefields Parkway. We stop everywhere we can, because every kilometer you have a different vista. So this is one of the prettiest lakes very accessible. We go there and you can see the turquoise color water. And that's caused by, when the ice scrapes along the bottom, the ice field, then it creates a powder, a kind of a powder, which remains suspended in the water, giving it this color. There are many lakes, but this is probably the best color that you can see in the Rockies. Here you have Lake Louise, a tiny lake at the very end is called Lake Louise, and the glacier on top is a Victoria Glacier. You'll see in a minute another, here we are. So there's the Victoria Glacier. There is Lake Louise, again, one of the most photographed. Lake Louise and Lake Moraine are probably the two most photographed lakes in Canada. Here is Lake Moraine. Lake Moraine, you can see the peaks on top. There are actually 10 of them, and that the valley where the lake is located is called the Valley of the 10 Peaks. The 10 peaks carry the names of Indian chiefs. So in honor of the indigenous people of the area, they named 10 mountains, 10 peaks after their tribal chief. This is Bow Lake. Bow Lake and Bow Glacier, you can just see a little bit of it. Bow Lake and Bow Glacier, that's where the river, the Bow River, is born. It starts there. Now, interesting, the Bow River goes from here down all the way into another river system, and eventually the waters of this lake go to the Atlantic Ocean. Amazing, but true. Here's a lovely picture of the main street in the main street in Banff, and there you can see Cascade Mountain. Cascade Mountain. Our hotel is right in the center here. This is an iconic hotel. That's the one I was talking about before. When we mentioned the Chateau Frontenac Hotel. Same architect, American architect Price, and he designed many of the hotels on behalf of the Canadian Pacific Railway. Canadian Pacific Railway is what made Canada, what tied Canada up together. And there are 4 mountains which go around, around Banff. That's Mount Randall, and the Mount Royal Hotel, because in Banff you really need a central hotel more than in any other place, I would say. So Mount Royal was recently renovated, beautiful hotel, right in the middle. You took a pin and you stuck it in the very center of Banff. You stick that in a Mount Royal hotel. Beautiful place. Now, when we leave, we go to back to the central part of BC, and this is a really nice town, Vernon. It's right in the center of the grape-growing wine, the wine area of British Columbia, which is very, very large, very wide area, and their wines are exported all over the place now. They have a very good reputation. They even export some to France. I've seen in France some, Canadian wines, although they won't admit it. Okay, Prestige Hotel, lovely place, Vernon. I think one needs a place like Vernon, at least to have a little bit of time to relax, before we head on to Whistler, which is a very, very lively place. Again, international resort, winter and summer. Winter, the facilities there are as good as anywhere in the world. The Whistler facilities for winter sports. In fact, when Vancouver hosted the winter sports Olympics, a lot of the events were here in the village of Whistler. You'd think you were back in the European resort. Again, mountain scenery, second to none, Whistler. There's quite a few aerial, they call them gondolas. I don't know why, but that's what they call them. There are quite a few in and around Whistler, and you have an opportunity to visit, to go on one for sure. And this is a lovely hotel. We use the Ava right in the center. From there, you can walk to wherever you want to go. If you want to go on a mountain excursion on the gondola, you walk from there. There's another. So we are back in Quebec City,
Yeah.
as you can see. And it's so hard, it's a tough job to try and introduce Canada in a very, very short space of time. But I think that all the videos that you've seen, photos and so on, they do a pretty good job. Of course,